Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun. She put
this Victorian corset with side drape. If this seems like what you're interested in, you might want to keep on watching and also hit on the subscribe button and tap on that notification bell for more videos like this. Let's begin. So guys, in continuation with the last video I posted, here are the pattern papers that I got from the last video, and as you can see, I've gone ahead to lay them on my fabric and I'd mark all my sewing allowance, as you can see. So in the middle, in between all the patterns, are 0.5 inch sewing allowance for joining. I also gave 1 inch below, and this is the Ankara fabric I'll be using. Now I went ahead to cut out all the patterns on my fabric, and I'm going to be using this material here for the lining. After I was done cutting, I went ahead to interface it with my hairstay. I had to press a double layer on my fabric to give it strength. I should have done 1 layer, but I just love making things look thicker. So I went ahead to cut out everything once more, and I also went ahead to repeat the same thing on my lining. So I didn't add any interfacing on my lining. I just had to cut out only the patterns because the lining is already strong. After cutting, I'll go ahead and stitch it on the machine just like you see me marking. I'm going to be stitching the middle parts together first of all by 1/2 inch, and then I'll do the same thing on the opposite side as well. After doing this, that's when I'm going to be attaching the rest of the pieces together, and that will be for the front piece. Now it's time to cut out the back piece. Now remember, I had 2 pieces for the pattern for the back. Now I'm going to be sharing it into 2. So I'll go ahead and measure what I have here and get the midpoint, and then I'll go ahead and mark what I got there. Then I'm going to connect it with a straight ruler and then cut it through. I'll do the same thing on the opposite one as well. So guys, here are the patterns for the back. I now have 4 patterns. After cutting the back on fabric, this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is going to be the back. I have 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the rest of them here to this side is the front. So I'll go ahead now and cut off the lining for the back as well, and then get ready to stitch. I'm also going to be joining the lining pieces together just like I did. Now for the skirt pattern, this is what I have. I've already gone ahead to cut out the skirt for the back and the front. So I'm going to be cutting the lining pieces for each of the pattern for the skirts and also stitch them together. So guys, I decided to add my wording to the patterns for the front, as you can see, and I'm already joining everything together. Now this is optional. You can use your hair stay, you can use your paper stay for this, but it's really optional. You don't have to make it very thick like this. So I'm just joining everything together to make it into one piece for the front. As a beginner, you might want to use your pins to hold the patterns in place before stitching them up so that you won't have a crooked stitching. After joining everything together, I did the same thing for the lining, and this is how everything came out looking like. Okay, it's looking really nice and it has taken the shape of what I cut. Now this is the back piece as well. I've gone ahead to join the back piece together. So the place you see all the joinings are where my boning channels are going to be sitting. Okay, so this is how it looks on the inside, and this is the front. And as for the cup, it's really small because my client is really small and she has tiny boobs. So now I'll go ahead and place my net fabric on the main fabric, okay, and I'm just going to pin them all around to make them sit in place. You might want to pin them up on the top and at the bottom of your corset. In doing this, you will need to take your time to adjust the net. Make sure you have excesses all around the patterns underneath, so go ahead and cut it up like this. So guys, this is what it should look like after you're done cutting. As for my doll face fabric, I cut out 2 inch to 2.5 long strips, and I'm going to fold it in like this into 2 equal half, so that I will have 1 inch in total, and that 1 inch is going to be stitched on the lines where you see me pointing to form our boning channels. So just go ahead and distribute it on all the lines you see me pointing. So guys, to stitch this on the lines, you need to stitch it in between the lines and then trim out the excesses and also cover the other one on top of the lines, so that those lines and those joinings stays in between the boning channels, if that makes sense. Now this is what it should look like after you're done stitching. I'll go ahead and trim out the excesses because now our net is sitting properly on the pattern that we want it to stay. So I'll go ahead and trim out all the rough edges and the excesses just like this. I also went ahead to do the same thing for the back piece. This is what I have, and you can see my patterns are coming into place. Okay, our corset is gradually coming to take shape. So guys, I'll go ahead and place them like this. Before stitching, I'll trim out the armholes together and then do the same thing on the other side so that I have equal armholes. Remember, I gave extra allowances around the armhole when I was drafting, so after trimming them together, I'm going to stitch them on the sides, and then it should look like this after you stitch them. So I'm going to be stitching extra boning channels on the sides, and this is the boning I'm going to be using for all the channels I created. So now I'll go ahead and stitch the sides and also add extra boning channels like I said. I've already gone ahead to stitch the lining pieces together, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead right now and place them this way with the right sides facing each other and stitch it by 1/2 inch at the top and then close the sides. So guys, this is what it looks like after I was done stitching, as you can see, and I went ahead to press them up on the ironing board, and this is what the inside looks like. So this is the skirt part after I was done joining both the lining and the fabrics together. This is what the front and the back look like. So I also gave 8 to 9 inches space for the zipper, and then I ironed everything out, and this is how the slit looks like. Okay, so the back has a slit. This is what it should look like after you are done. So I'll go ahead and place the front and the back piece right sides facing each other, and then I'll stitch by the allowance. And also I went ahead to trim out the excesses I have for the lining and then get ready to insert my boning. So I'm going to insert them this way and not the other way. After inserting my bonings into the channel, this is what I had. Now I'm going to be fixing the skirt pattern and the top together. So go ahead right now and open it up. Make sure you place them with the right sides facing each other, just like this, to align everything together. So I'm going to place the side seams together first of all to make sure everything sits in place, and after doing so, I went ahead to pin it all around and then stitch it on the machine. So you might want to go ahead and also get your pins and hold everything in place, making sure that the back piece go to the back piece of the skirt and then the front goes all around all the way to the other end of the back piece. Okay, so after placing them together, I went ahead to stitch by 1/2 inch on the machine, and this is what I have after I was done. You can see the curve it gave at the back. I'll also go ahead and insert my eyelets for the lacing and also create a long rope for it. This is the zipper I'll be using, so I'll be inserting my zipper on the back later on. So guys, as you can see, I've gone ahead to create the sleeves, the off-shoulder sleeve for it. This is how it looks like. Okay, so the net is so stretchy and you need to stitch your sleeves according to the size of your wrist. So this is how it looks like on the front. You can see that little busty area. And this is how the skirt pattern is sitting on the corset. As for the draping, I'm going to be doing that on the body of my client, but I'm going to be illustrating that for you guys to understand later on in this video. So just keep watching to see how I do it. So guys, before draping, this is what I had after I was done adding my appliques on the neckline of the dress. And this is what the back looks like after I was done inserting my eyelets, okay? And this is the lacing for the loops. I'll be draping on the skirt part. I'll shift this back a bit for you guys to see, and I'm just going to take this part of the dress up. This is just an illustration for you guys to see, so I'm just going to leave it like this so I can be able to work on this waist area. So I'll pick up my fabric. What I want to do is to have enough space for the draping. Starting from one end, you want to give like about 8 inches space, and then from that 8 inches space, I'm going to fold in a piece of fabric like this, just a little bit of 3 inches. This is how it should look like. So after folding it, starting from that 8 inches mark, I'll take it around the mannequin just like this, and then I'm just going to start draping. So just go ahead and fold it like this around the waist, okay? So we need to pin it as you drape. So a body form is best to use for this, but you can just be like me that is using a mannequin and a dress on it to achieve this. So I'll just go ahead now and drape. So pin one side of your fabric like this. Make sure you have the 8 inches to 9 inches length of fabric sitting aside before pinning. So pin as you drape. Now we have pinned it. The next thing I'm going to do is to take it around like this, making sure I have some space. I'm going to pin the back as well. After pinning the back, this is what I have. Now I'm going to make the second pleat or the second drape as you may have it, and I'm just going to have enough space in between each drape and pin as well. So you might need to pin as you drape just to have everything come together. So now I'll go around and extend that drape on the sides, okay, making sure that there is enough space like this, and then I'll stop midway at the back before the zipper allowance. So you might want to stop directly at the place where the zipper is stitched so that you can be able to stitch it later on into the zipper. Now I have my second drape. I'm going to try achieving the third drape. So go ahead and just get enough space like this and just fold it inwards, and then you want to have enough space once more in between this drape, and then pin, making sure you arrange the others as you drape. After pinning, still go ahead and adjust it at the sides like this, bringing the fabric up gradually to take shape. You want to have the same thing you have in the front around the back, okay? So go ahead and pin the back as well. So guys, as you can see, our side drape is coming out bit by bit. Now I'm going to be making the last drape, okay? So in total, I'll be having about 4 drapes or 4 folds, and that will be very okay. So guys, what you want to do next is to make sure it's hanging this way, okay? And after you've gotten what you wanted, go ahead and just cut it out. So this is how you're going to be cutting. Starting from this angle, we'll be cutting in a slant manner. So I'll go ahead and use a chalk line to illustrate that. So this is what you should do. Go ahead and take your scissors, just cut this way, all the way from the side to this part, okay? Make sure you have a slanted straight line, and then it should look pointed on the sides. And after you're done cutting this side, the front, rotate your scissors and continue vice versa towards the back. So I am making the lines visible enough for you guys to see. So I'll rotate this and then continue. So you can see how my hand is going upwards. I am not drawing the chalk on the entire back piece. This is where I'm going to be stopping, okay? I hope you can see the line. So this is the line. Go ahead and curve your hand this way and then connect it to join into the front. So this is what you should look like after you are done marking or cutting on your fabric. So it's best for you guys to mark it first of all before trying to cut. So mine is a bit longer. You can choose to make it a little bit shorter. I'm talking about the angle, okay? You can just make it a little bit shorter to avoid excess fabric. And as for this side, if you want, you can leave it this way and hem it up, but I'll be cutting it off to add my own separate fabric there. So guys, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. This is just an illustration. I am going to be draping it properly on the body of my client. For the lower parts you just cut out, go ahead and fold it by 3/4 of an inch and stitch it, or you might want to use a hemming gum to hold it in place. And that will be all for this tutorial. If you like this video and it has been helpful to you, give me a thumbs up and also comment what you think in the comment box. Also subscribe and use the like button so that this video will be recommended to more viewers. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for now and thanks for watching.